Hello, readers, and today we are learning about something called context clues. So you might be wondering, what in the world is a context clue, and what does this little alien have to do with that right here? A context clue is something that we use to find the meaning of an unknown word while we're reading. A couple different ways that we can do that are on this anchor chart that I have on our screen. We can think about the definition, see if our reading actually defines the word. For example, our author might say, our character was so happy. She had a smile on her face and she was looking forward to the day ahead. They pretty much defined her being happy for us and told us that she was smiling and what kind of mood she was in. The next way that we can think about context clues are if they give us an example. An example would be, for example, on our context clue chart right here, it says celestial bodies, such as the sun, moon, and stars, are natural objects visible in the sky. The unknown word was celestial bodies, and they gave us an example of what those were by saying the sun, the moon, and the stars. We can also look at word parts. For example, in the word beautiful, it ends with F-U-L, which could mean full of beauty. The word unsuccessful starts with U-N, which means without success. So we're using those word parts to find what the unknown word is. When we come across right here, we see the word schema. That might be a new word for us, but another way to think about it is our background knowledge. If you have schema on soccer or schema on basketball, then you have background knowledge about what those things are. You may have played them, you may be on a team, you know what they are. So that is just what you already know about a topic. When we come down to the bottom, we see two words. One is synonym and one is antonym. Before we talk too much about those in terms of context clues, an easy way to think of a synonym means the same. They both start with an S. But when we come over to antonyms, antonyms ain't the same. So if you look at the bottom, they give us a couple of examples. This sentence says, she knew the figure was fragile when she felt all the delicate pieces in her hand. Readers, I want you to pause and think for a second right there. What is the synonym in that sentence? What word means the same as the word fragile? If you said the word delicate, you're correct. Our author gave us an example of the word fragile by saying delicate. We now know that the figure was delicate whenever she felt the pieces in her hand. Let's slide over one more time to antonyms. Once again, we know antonyms ain't the same. This says, he is always on time, not like myself, who always seem to be tardy. That is telling us that tardy is the opposite of on time. Readers, what is the opposite of on time? If you said late, you are correct. We have used 6 different examples of context clues to find the meaning of unknown words. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to read this book right here, and it is called Bologna. Now, this is not your typical lunch meat bologna that you might have in a sandwich. This is a different term. This book is going to have a lot of nonsense words, and we are going to have to work together to find the meaning of those nonsense words. So let's get started. Bologna, Henry P. Last Tuesday morning at 8:37 a.m., Henry P. Bologna was finally late for class once too often. That's it, said Miss Bugscuffle. Permanent, lifelong detention, unless you have one very good and very believable excuse. Well, I would have been exactly on time, said Henry, but I misplaced my trusty Zimulus. Then I found it on my deskie, but someone had put my deskie in a Taraku. The Taraku drove me right here to Skoola. But right past. I grabbed my Zimulus and jumped out. But I jumped smack in the middle of a Razzo launch pad. Readers, that was a lot of words that I have no idea what they are. I need to make sure I'm using my context clues, looking at the pictures to find out the meaning of those words. Let's continue. I used my Zimulus to pop open the escape porto, but it turned out to be a porto into the next Razzo blasting off. I jammed the Razzo controls with my Zimulus so I could land behind Zgula and still be on time. But I jammed the wrong Batunia and ended up on the planet Astrosis. I entertained the Astro guys with my very funny pizzas, but they decided my pizzas and I would be entertaining to eat. I changed their minds with geodrons and calculations. So fantastic, they crowned me Kuningus of the whole planet. But I forgot the Astrosis word for thank you and accidentally used the word for doof brain. I foiled their plan to disintegrate me by plugging their Blassa with my Zimulus. But they made a new plan to send me back in a sighing flosser to Fricasse Arscola. I erased the sighing flosser Fricasse instructions, but I also erased the sighing flosser Porto lock and fell out. I dropped like an Iraq. I was only there 3 seconds away from Zerplatzen all over the steel plats. Not even my trusty Zimulus could save me. So, what did you do? Said Miss Bugscuffle. How could you possibly save yourself? I suddenly remembered that falling bodies obey the law of gravity. And I haven't learned the law of gravity yet, so I stopped and came to Skoola. All of which made me exactly 7 minutes late. This you. Henry P. Baloney, said Miss Bugscuffle, that is unbelievable. But today's assignment is to compose a tall tale, so why don't you sit down and get started writing? I'd love to, said Henry, but I seem to have misplaced my Zimulus. This transmission was received directly from deep space. Once these signals were decoded, it became clear that this was a story about a life form similar to many Earthlings. Even more amazing was the discovery that the story is written in a combination of many different languages, including Latvian, Swahili, Finnish, Esperanto, and Inuktitut. Who knows why? Alright friends, I want you to rewatch this video real quick if you have time before I show you this key at the end. And one thing I want you to think about is our chart that we looked over earlier. Use your context clues to find the meaning of these words. Some of you might be thinking, wow, well, I kind of understood that story even though those words were crazy. That's because without even knowing it, you were using your context clues and looking at the pictures to decode those crazy nonsense words. Okay, guys, welcome back from pausing. Here is your key. An amu is Finnish for the word morning. Astrosis is Latin for the word unlucky. Blassa means ray gun. Batunia means button. Calculations means calculations. Deski is Swahili for desk. Fricasse is French for shatter. Geodroms meant diagrams. Kuningas means king. Pizza means picture. Porto is door. Razzo was Italian for rocket. Sighing flosser was flying saucer. Speelplaats is Dutch for playground. Skula is Polish for school. Taraku is truck. Twerf is noise. Oyarak means stone. Zerplatzen means splattering. And last but certainly not least is Zimulus, which is Latvian for pencil. Alright guys, awesome job. Today I want you to think about your independent reading books and find some words that you may not be familiar with and use one of these context clues decoders to find out what that word means. Alright guys, happy reading. Bye!